Hi friends, long time no see. I'm back and I'm engaged. Welcome to the Bridal Trials, a three-part series where I test a lot of different products and techniques to determine how I will do my makeup on the big day. But let's rewind a little bit. If you're new here, hello, my name is Karima. I have been in beauty for over a decade and I am exceptionally fussy about every component of my makeup. So I think it's best for everybody if I do my own makeup for my wedding. I don't know that I'd recommend this to everybody, but this is what I'm gonna do. I've always wanted to film my bridal trials for YouTube, obviously so that I can share it with you guys. And I also think it's a great opportunity to really test and assess the makeup from every angle. So today we have a bridal trial number 1, Satin Nude. I like to give my makeup looks a bit of personality. This bride, she's very chic, very understated. We're borrowing a lot of techniques from no makeup with a big emphasis on satin finishes and really natural nude tones. Of the 3 bridal trials that I've filmed, this is the most natural of the 3. It's still a full face of makeup, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't look like as much makeup. And so I think this is nice for a bride that really just wants to amplify their natural features, but not necessarily look as though they're wearing a lot of makeup. Enjoy! Hi, welcome back to an old school tutorial. This is kind of random, but today we're going to start with lashes because this particular lash system recommends applying to a bare eye for maximum longevity. You don't have to do lashes for bridal makeup. You don't have to do anything, obviously, but if you're open to it, a little lash I think makes a big difference. And you don't have to go super fluffy. In fact, I would probably advise against that, but a few little clusters for some extra flutter is perfect. I've done a lot of research into all the different types of lash innovations that have come to the market over the past few years, and I think one brand that does it really well is Lashify. This is an underlash system, which sounds like it would poke you in the eye, but debatably they're more comfortable than traditional lashes that sit near the lash line. In this trial, I only used 3 short clusters. It's just what I had on hand at the time of filming. And there are many different styles at Lashify. So I'm going to make a big order. I'm going to sit down and test all the different shapes to figure out what suits me best. I will report back. Okay, let's finish on the eye makeup and then we can do the complexion afterwards. I'm priming my eyes with this NARS tinted eye primer. This is so old. It's on its last legs and it's been discontinued. Please recommend me some great tinted eye primers in the comments, because I've hated almost every single one I've tried. They just make my eyelids so cakey. I want to start contouring the eyes, but keeping the tones really soft and biscuity with the Makeup by Mario cream eyeshadow in Sandstone. This is almost so light that it registers just as a soft warmth. It's very subtle, but maybe that's the point. I'm going to take that onto the outer half of the lid and swishing all through the socket. For a bit more depth and to set that cream, I'm layering a contour powder through the socket, focusing on the outer half of the eye. I want the eyeshadow to be really soft and blown out and sort of invisible, right? We're borrowing aspects of no makeup because this bride is really understated and this look is very nude. You could also use a bronzer here through the socket if your skin is much warmer than mine, but bronzer tends to pull orange on me, so I opt for the cooler contours instead. I want some soft definition at the lash line, but without it looking like eyeliner. So we're going to take a mix of a brown and a black eyeshadow to achieve a brownie black, and then pressing that into the lash line to achieve this sort of soft, diffused liner look. I'll be honest, it's awkward to apply the eyeliner with the Lashify already installed because you can't see behind your own lashes. And that's the whole point of these trials, right? To iron out any bumps in the road. I'm dabbing a tiny bit of a neutral cream eyeshadow onto the lid. This is less for color and more so that my sparkle has something to adhere to. Let's talk sparkle. Some years ago, back in my day, the advice with bridal makeup was steer clear of glitter, only use satin and matte. Nowadays, micro glitter technology has improved and there are so many sparkly eyeshadows on the market that I would deem bride appropriate. Also, a sparkly top coat is kind of my thing. It's on brand for me. So I'm taking a sparkly shadow on a brush and spraying it down with some setting spray to reduce fallout, and then pressing it onto the lid. I want most of the sparkle to be close to the lash line, just above the iris. So I will place my brush there first to deposit most of the product and then feather upwards and outwards. The sparkle is a departure from the no makeup maker, but oh, I love a glowy lid. This eyeshadow has a pale peachy glow, but depending on your skin tone, you could adjust the hue of the eyeshadow to whatever looks nude on your skin. I could see some tiny gaps between the eyelash clusters, so in the interest of perfection, I'm taking a dark eyeliner and tight lining to conceal those gaps. This eyeliner is a long wearing formula. It's not for smudging, it's for staying put, and that's why I'm using it here in the tight line. Although I want the eye to be light and nude, I do think that my eye shape benefits from a little bit of extra contouring. So I went back to deepen the outer eye just a touch in that outer V. And it's true what they say, a little more makeup does translate better in photos, but I'm talking like 15 or 20%. I think anyone who tells you that bridal makeup has to be heavy is projecting their own style onto the task. Depending on how extensively you've applied the Lashify, you might not need mascara at all. I only applied a few clusters, so I will add a little slick of mascara just where my natural lashes are so that they're black and they blend in with the false lashes. I personally don't apply mascara to my lower lashes because my lower lashes are absurdly long and it looks like spiders. Onto the complexion. Skin prep is a huge component of achieving the best possible bridal skin, but it's a monster topic and I can chat about skin prep in a separate video. So for now, let's go straight to SPF. I'm still a bit unsure as to whether I will wear SPF on the big day. I wear SPF every single day and it feels weird not to, but I also know that I get better longevity out of my makeup when I'm not applying over buttloads of sunscreen. So yeah, that's my dilemma. Feel free to debate that in the comments. In this trial, I decided to use my everyday favorite SPF, the Tokobo Bio Watery Sun Cream. This is one of my top picks for sunscreen under makeup. It's very cosmetically elegant, but warning, it's very dewy. If you prefer a satiny matte sunscreen, I recommend the House of Her Weightless Sun Fluid, also spectacular under makeup. I have here two cushion foundations, the Armani To Go cushion and the JSM Essential Skin Nude cushion. I'm using both cushions today because of the shades. The JSM matches some of the cooler, lighter parts of my body, like my neck and my arms. However, if I use it all over my face, I get a floating white head. The Armani cushion matches the warmer, more olive parts of my body, like my hairline, the back of my neck, and my chest. However, if I use it all over, I get a floating yellow head. My solution is to use the paler JSM cushion through the center of the face and the deeper Armani cushion on the forehead, the outer cheeks, the perimeter. By creating this sort of patchwork of shades, I'm reflecting the different tones we can observe on my body. And this is especially important in bridal because your arms, your hands, your décolletage, your neck are often very visible, and we want our face to feel as though it visually belongs to the body. We've got to bring our foundation onto the neck and onto the chest, where many of us often have redness and sun damage. You don't need a lot of coverage on the chest, but even just a little helps to connect the face and the rest of the body. Also consider that if you are looking to have a very matte complexion on your face, a very glossy chest and arms, it doesn't texturally make sense. We've got to really zoom out and take in the whole picture. Onto blush. I adore the Daniel Sandler watercolor blush. This is a watery serum blush that just melts into your complexion products. And while this is an everyday favorite, I don't think I will end up using it for my wedding because it's a bit sheer and a bit warm for what I have in mind. Even if I think that I've blended my cream blush well, I'll always go back with my cushion puff for one last blend around the edges. Since that blush was a bit sheer and warm, I'm going to top with a cooler powder blush. And pairing a cream blush with a powder blush also helps to enhance the longevity of your blush in case your face has the tendency to eat blush. Personally, I do love the luminous, bouncy finish of a cream blush worn alone. Cream products in general tend to work better for my drier skin, so I learned that lesson, and in the next 2 trials, I really stick to cream products. But whether you use powders or creams is often a matter of preference and also a matter of responding to your skin type. At this point, I inspect my face for shadows. I see a few areas in need of brightening and concealing, mostly under the eyes and in some of those shadowy hotspots around the mouth. This is the Armani Luminous Silk Concealer, in my opinion, still one of the best workhorse concealers on the market. It offers a medium coverage, some great illuminating properties, and it doesn't get dry and cakey under the eyes. It might be a bit better for the drier skin types though. For oilier skin types, I might recommend something more like the Huda Beauty Faux Filter. This is also the time where you do any spot concealing on blemishes or melasma or pigmentation or what have you. Thankfully, my skin has been behaving, knock on wood. I've said in the past, and I'll say it again, the Laura Mercier Translucent is one of the most reliable powders for flash photography. So I've used it here to set around the eye, and this will help to prevent makeup from migrating, and it also visually smooths the skin around the eye. Right now, the skin is a bit glossy. It looks beautiful, but it's impractical unless you're wearing a slick back, which I am not. Slick backs do not suit me. I know that my baby hairs will be attaching themselves to my glossy face. So we're setting the entire face with the lightest dusting of powder. This is wise if you have oilier skin, and I do think that a satin finish complexion tends to picture best, especially in flash photography. But I think that less powder often looks better in person, photos aside, especially for my dry skin. Powdering all over almost means my makeup is harder to touch up later on. It becomes prone to cracking, which is so much more difficult to remedy than just reapplying foundation where it has transferred. So, quite the conundrum. I'm going to go back to the drawing board. I'm going to try to find a complexion combination that maintains luminosity but isn't at all sticky. Wish me luck. This is perhaps controversial, but I've almost entirely ditched bronzer in my routine. Listen, I am not bronze anywhere on my body. I will not be getting a spray tan. Bronzer makes no sense on my complexion. Besides, bronzers on the market, they tend to lean very orange on me. So I'll be using a contour powder instead to add some subtle definition under the cheekbones. Gonna add a little to the hairline, maybe to the jaw. You can barely see the product going on, but again, that's kind of the point. Onto brows, and I'm going to keep them very natural. Brow blindness is real. I have experienced it, and somehow I don't think I'm going to look back in 50 years and be like, ooh, my natural brows. So I'm filling in 1 or 2 bald spots. I'm going to make a few symmetry accommodations and lengthening the tail a touch, but otherwise keeping true to their natural shape. I've always loved a brushed up brow. This is like a mini facelift on my face. So let's brush up these brows with the Benefit 24-hour brow setter, my holy grail. It has insane hold. I aim to apply a very light layer so that the brow hairs don't look overloaded with product. For lips, let's test one of my all-time favorite lip combos that lives in my handbag. We're starting with the Lisa Eldridge Zero N Lip Liner. This color is so good on pale olives and cool tone people. I'm going to have to repurchase this soon because I go through it so fast. Probably because the formula is very soft. You can really buff out the edges and correct any mistakes. It's very forgiving and perfect for mapping out the lip shape and then feathering inwards, which is what I'm doing here. Topping with a tinted lip balm of sorts. This is the Clarins Lip Oil Balm in 3, another handbag staple for me, so hydrating. The finish is divine. It somehow fills in all of the lip lines. But again, like the blush, it does lean a little more peach, and I want to go more pinky. So back to the drawing board on that one. I'm looking for the perfect bridal pink lip. I want more definition and contrast at the lip edge, so we're going in with the Nubla contour pencil. This is another holy grail product, another brilliant color, desaturated, mauvey, nude, my lips but better for sure. So that's 3 products there. That doesn't feel excessive. I could totally add another liner, another gloss, but don't get me carried away. I definitely will not be doing my hair on the big day because hair is not my forte. Hair is my Achilles heel. By the time I've done my makeup, I'm tired. I don't have another hour in me to do my hair, but I can do some exceptionally lazy Dyson Airwrap curls. I also dug out the flyaway attachment. I forget that I own this and I forget how well it works. Like, look at that. So impressive. And that is the final look, Satin Nude. So what are some of the key notes and takeaways that we can incorporate into the next bridal trial? First of all, I love the satin skin. I think it pictures so beautifully, but I will say on my dry skin, it's a bit harder to touch up throughout the night. I find that it just kind of looked a little bit cakier on the longer term. So I'm going to need to rework that complexion, try to find something perhaps that looks dewy but isn't sticky. Leave that with me. The color selection is peachier and warmer than I initially conceptualized. I think my cool skin does tend to pull things very warm. So in the next trial, I'm going to try a bit more of a cooler selection, especially on the cheeks and the lip. I do love the pared down eye. I think it's really natural. It looks like me. I do want to see a look with a little bit more dimension on the eyes. I want to amp up the intensity. So we're going to try that also in Bridal Trial 2. Make sure you come back for episode 2 of the Bridal Trials, Dewy Dimension. See you then. Woohoo!